Hello and welcome to the Why Not Today podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Kane, and today you're going to get a solo episode with me. And I am recording this on New Year's Eve of 2025, and it will post and go live on January 2nd, maybe even the 1st of 2026. Like, how did we get there? Seems like just yesterday I was in high school and college, but even a minute ago that we were preparing for Y2K. If you're too young to know what that is, God bless you. But yeah, time just goes by so fast. I'm really trying to be present and anchored in what I'm doing, and I'll explain that in a minute. But today I'm going to talk about the one word, which is something I've done for years. But before I do that, kind of a why not today moment I had this morning was I was sitting there and reading, doing my devotions, and jumped on Facebook, which I try not to do, but I did. And my friend Lisa Adams challenged everybody to just put in chat what should be your word. And guys, I already had my word. I was ready with my word. I am going out of town on Friday, so I was trying to get all my ducks in a row, get ahead. Literally, I have fought my own um I don't know what the word is, but I have fought myself from not flipping my calendar to January till tomorrow. And I was ready. My word was impact. I was good with it. And then I asked Chat, what do you think my word should be? And it told me a totally different word. And so I'm going to talk about that, but I'm also going to talk about the one word, the experience of the one word, how you discovered your one word, and why the heck I do the one word anyway. So I have been doing a one word training for my Mary Kay world and for me for years. And so really I do the one word. It's not your resolution because what do they say? Your resolution, most people quit by like the 20th of the month. But it's your theme. It's what your word is going to be for the year. And so it gives you clarity. It's not your goals. It's not, you don't need more hustle. You don't need to hustle harder. You don't need to push through. You don't need to check one more box to feel productive, but it gives you clarity. And clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from slowing down to listen. And so that's really how you figure out your one word and then how you work with it throughout the year. So there's a gentleman called, his name's John Gordon, and he created a book or wrote a book years ago called The One Word. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing the book, but it says one word that will change your life. And so basically, he talks about instead of having your New Year's resolution, have a word. And he has lots of stories of people and their words and how it's impacted their life. I talked about teams like a basketball team. Everybody in the team wrote their word on a ball. He had schools that everybody in the school wrote their word on a wall, rocks in a um, garden. And so I've been doing this for a long time. We've actually been doing it with a friend painting it. Um, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. But I have a Jesus Calling book. And in the front, I've written down my words. And just to kind of give you a journey into my life. In 2015, my word was share or shine, and then it was focus, and then intention, and then purpose, joy, intention again in 2019. 20 was connections, and wasn't that a joke? That was when COVID happened. A good friend of mine, Amber, her word was gather. And so, you know what? We need to figure out how to gather and have connections differently in 2022. 2021 again was trust. 2022 was courage, and that's when this Why Not Today podcast started, all about courage. 2023 was space, which was definitely another interesting word. And if you're watching, instead of just listening, here is my painting of the one word space from 2023. And literally, I like to fill space. So it's a blank canvas with space written on the corner. And that was an interesting word. That word came about because I felt like I needed more. One, I need to clean up some space in my world. I felt like I had a lot of clutter, a lot of junk, things I wanted to change in my house. Also, with space, I wanted to be more present with people and that were in my space. And then God had a whole nother idea for my space. And unfortunately, I lost a very close friend who passed away unexpectedly in July of 2023. And that opened space in my world because it left a huge hole, but also it added space in my world because I inherited his dog. So that was an interesting year. 2024 was brave, and 2025 again was trust. And so I've done things with my word, like I made a graphic that I just sent to Walgreens with the word. And this year, as I said, I had the word impact and I changed that. So let's kind of talk about coming up with your one word and why it matters. So, first, we move fast, we get things done, we push through, it'd be easier to pause. And that's a strength. But sometimes a strength turns into a pressure or weakness, even we don't even realize we're carrying. I always say your strength is often your kryptonite. And so one word isn't about accomplishment, it's about alignment. It's not asking, what can I achieve this year? It's asking, how do I want to live and lead this year? So before I go into how to come up with own your word, I wanted to share something that a friend of mine shared. And we've been kind of following the full moon and what it means. And the Chinese New Year always has a different theme. And although I don't know how much I totally believe all this, but I think it gives you intention to pay attention and kind of that God wink that I'm on the right track. So, um, in our culture, January 1st sounds like a loud starting gun that we're supposed to leave everything figured out immediately. But not every calendar works that way. So the Chinese New Year does not start on January 1st. There's space, there's transition, there's intention. And this year aligns this year is the year of the horse, which represents energy, movement, independence, and forward momentum. But it's not reckless speed. The horse still needs direction, it still needs grounding, it still needs rest. And I love that reminder. Last year, the year of the snake was about shedding, and this year is more about growing. So, because even a year associated with movement, the question becomes, what's guiding the movement? So, for me, my new word is anchor, which I'm so excited about. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But John Gordon talks about in his book that he has a framework to come up with your one word. It's look in, look up, and then look out. So look in, and coming up your word with your word is not immediate. It does take some time. And actually, I've created a worksheet that you can get. Um, by after you listen to this, if you want it, I will have a link that you can grab the worksheet and work on it. I am doing a painting event, which I have a bigger workbook. If anybody comes to the painting event, you can have access to that. So first you want to look in, have honest reflection. And that's really what the worksheet and the workbook does. Helps you think. So you want to ask yourself, where did I look at last year? And where did I feel rushed, scattered last year? Where was I pushing instead of pausing? And where did I feel out of alignment? So your word doesn't come from judgment, it comes from awareness. So first you're going to look in and kind of get a feeling like, where do you want to, what's your theme for the next year? Where do you want it to take you? And then look up, pray about it and ask. You know, this is where you stop forcing clarity and start asking for it. So you pray, you sit, you listen, you ask. What do I need in this season? What do I need to become? What word will guide me through things feeling noisy? And that's really where I struggled this morning. That, yes, I was praying. And then I opened up chat and it told me this new word anchor. And at first I fought it. I'm like, no, I've got impact. I've got it good to go. And that's that holding on to energy, which I'm trying to let go of in the control. And so I'm like, oh, maybe God's sending me in a whole different direction. And it's interesting. I even asked, go through the process, a scripture, and there's a scripture that's always spoken to me about an anchor. And I've seen different things about it. It's just, I don't know. A friend of mine shared it one time. It's just spoken to me for years. Um, so my new word is anchor. But then once you look up and pray and kind of think about it, then you want to look out. Notice it as you live. Um, you don't rush it aside. You notice repeating words, recurring themes, ideas that won't leave you alone. Often your words find you before you officially choose it. So you'll start seeing it on billboards, on license plates. Although I had a little tease this morning. I was anchored on Anchor and I saw a book recommendation on impact. I'm like, but I'm really thinking impact's it. But look for it, see where it's out there. Pay attention to it. I was talking to a friend yesterday about my word impact. She's like, you're already doing that. And then I talked to another friend today and told her about my new word. She's like, that's so you. She goes, I might take impact, but anchor is you, and you've already done impact this year. So maybe they're right. All right. So as I said, I went through, here's my impact stickers. If you're watching, I created, or graphics, I created impact, kind of the ripple effect. And I had to slow down, as I said this morning, and say, okay, I think it's not impact, it is anchor. And so you really need to think about it and pray about it and look for it, as I said. Um, and so what I talked about anchor was anchor isn't about pushing. It's not about checking the box. It's not about getting your word done. Anchor was about grounding, stability, leading from presence instead of pressure. And even though I've already started down the path, because yes, that's me, I knew anchor was right. So this moment reminded me this morning, my why not say moment. Just because you've already started doesn't mean you can't pause and realign. So what anchor changed for me is once I accepted anchor, and by the way, that was at 8:30 to 8 o'clock this morning. It's 1 p.m. So it's not that long, but it's really stuck with me as I went for a walk, as I talked with friends, as I prepared for this podcast. So I sat there for an hour playing with chat. Thank you, Lisa Adams. And with that, I created my anchor manifesto, not rules, but reminders. I created an anchor playlist, which music that steadies me and grounds my energy. I created my anchor graphic, which I'm going to send to be printed today, something visual I can return to when things feel noisy. And by the way, I put around my house my word. It is on my in my office, it's by my front door, it's in my bathroom, it's all over, so I see it. And none of this is about productivity, but it's really about presence. So anchor is going to remind me I don't have to rush. I don't have to prove, I don't have to push through to be effective. So I do recommend playing with ChatGPT to help you come up with your word. If you're one that, like me, that spends a lot of time and it knows you, that's probably a good place to start. But if you're not, you can start with a little about you. Like I'm getting together with a friend of mine tonight, and she doesn't use chat hardly at all. So I'm going to go into chat and say, pretend you're, and then give her a description and see what it comes up for her. So chat didn't replace my prayer. It didn't override my intuition. It didn't make the decision for me. It helped me see myself more clearly. It was a mirror. And sometimes that's exactly what we need, especially when you're torn between two good options and already halfway down the road. So, as I said, I create a one word worksheet for anybody if you want it, that will walk you through looking in, looking up, looking out, and trying your word on. So you can download it from the show notes and complete it. Takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And I do recommend spending some time. Like, unlike me, you don't have to have it figured out tomorrow. There's a lot of settling before the year starts. And so, and I did create a workbook that takes you a little further, that if you want to attend my one word event, I can share that with you. So your one word, it's, as I said, it's your theme, it's your anchor, to go back to that word. Um, it's what you want your life to look like, who you want to become, not just what you want to do. I've talked about vision boards, and we're doing vision boards, and have a workbook. If you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to it. Um, but really spend some time figuring out what that one word is. And it could change. And some years, like I didn't even remember it at the end of the year. So obviously it didn't stick. But some years it really stuck and I paid attention to it, like connection, like trust, like um, space. And so take some time to figure out your word. You don't need to rush the year. You don't need to push clarity. You don't need to have everything figured out. Even in a year full of movement, you're allowed to be grounded. You're allowed to choose a word that steadies you. So why not today? Choose that word. Um, so thanks for listening. As I said, I'm doing some pivots this year, and you're going to hear a little bit more from me. I have been at this personal growth entrepreneur journey for a long time. As I said in the beginning, don't blink. Life goes by so quickly. Like literally 31 years ago, I became a Mary Kay consultant. And being an entrepreneur really is about personal growth. And I think that's what I've gained. And I love to share and encourage and inspire other people the same thing. So what started in 2022 as a Why Not Today moment to start a podcast grew to tomorrow would be the second anniversary of starting Why Not Today, to finding out that, you know what, Mary Kay did a lot for me, and the rest, starting a business is not easy and it's not a simple path. And often people feel alone. And so through a year of trial and error and figuring out, I finally came to the Why Not Today Inner Circle, which we've been doing for 6 months. And I'm so excited, the group of women that have been doing this with me um, have, when anybody that's hit their anniversary, they've signed up again. And so obviously it's working. It's a magical place where we support each other, we share We are lateral mentors to each other. There's some tracking and accountability, and we celebrate wins. So if anybody's interested in hearing more about the inner circle, let me know. But this podcast is really your encouragement for hope, for permission, for taking the action that it's not going to be perfect action, but you just got to start. If you don't start, you'll never finish. My guest that'll be on the next week, we talked about failure, and the entrepreneur journey is hard, and failing is only when you quit. That when you um, don't have a win, when you don't reach a goal, it's a lesson learned. So either you win or you learn. And so this month in January of 2026, we're really going to talk about mindset. So I have a guest at the end of the month. We're going to talk about, she had a big goal to hit at the end of the year, and you know what? She didn't hit it. So we're going to talk about mindset. And I think that's just so important that you know how to hit a goal, you know how to miss a goal. And it's skills, but you need to be grounded and grounded in your one word. So I can't wait to hear everybody's one word. If you listen to the podcast, please share it with me. And if you do share your one word, I will have a fun gift for you. I may even have a link to a form you can fill out. Give me your one word and your address so I can mail my fun gift to you. But I want to hear your one word. I want to hear what it is, and let's run to the top together, but become who we need to be and enjoy the journey. And I'm so excited about 2026 and what it has to provide. And I hope you are too. And as we close out this year, we're going to start in March, the fifth year of podcast recordings, which is just crazy. We've had almost 8,000 people listen to it, download it, but it's probably more because that's just one source of records. But um, if we're not connected on social media, let's connect. I have a great group called Women Entrepreneurs Taking Action, Courageous Action, because you know what? We're about courage and just that why not today, that one step ahead. So if you want to know anything about Why Not Today, it's the website's whynotTodayMovement.com. And thanks for listening. Happy New Year. Happy 2026, if this is when you're listening to it, or maybe you're listening to it 20 years from now. And I hope it's made a difference in your life. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the Why Not Today community. And Happy New Year. I should have some confetti to throw, but I don't. So Happy New Year. Bye. Thanks for listening. Maybe I'll be by. Let me say goodbye. This is the blooper.